All right, today's lesson is all about integrating your buyer personas with your messaging software. So, this is all about how you customize your bulk messaging campaigns, your automated messaging campaigns to better engage your prospects, make it seem more conversational, more direct, more one to one. So, let's go ahead and get into it, and we'll start here. Why segment? So you've heard in some of the previous videos about buyer personas and why it's beneficial to split it up. We've had examples of scripts to use for different types of industries, verticals, job titles, geographically, whatever it might be. But why really segment for this automated messaging campaign? So the first reason is, just you want to compose messages that are going to speak more directly to your specific prospect. The more it can speak to them individually on a one-to-one basis in their mind, it's going to increase response rates significantly. The more personal, the better. The more likely someone's going to be to respond if they think you took the time to craft something specifically for them. That's why we wrote a lot of those messaging scripts in that way. And you want to follow through with the way that you're tagging and choosing which batches of people to get what messages. And the other thing is, once you have the framework in place that I'm going to talk about today, it's going to make it so much easier on your time and schedule to be able to respond to people who write back to you, to be able to see who's getting what type of message. It'll make the whole thing better. Now, you might be saying to yourself, I really have one buyer persona I'm going after. I'm going after CEOs of marketing companies that have 25 to 50 employees. And that's fine. I'm going to show you a reason why this is still applicable to you, even if your audience is really one type of persona that you're going after. This segmenting isn't just based on personas. There's some other reasoning that we're going to get into here in a second. And then finally, it's just a way to not abuse the messaging power that you have. And we'll talk more about that here coming up. So we're going to start here. There's two ways to go about segmenting and tagging people in the right way so that your campaign will be as successful as possible. And the best way to do that, why don't we go in, just hop it into a live demonstration right now. And you see there Napoleon Dynamite is saying heck yes, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so as stated, some of this is going to be a review of the previous lesson, but let's go ahead and show you the couple ways you can go about segmenting this audience the right way. So first place is here under the Connections tab, like we've gone over in the past. You can, if you wanted to segment your personas by job title, for instance, let's say you had some CEOs and you had some COOs you were going after, and you wanted them to be separate for the message that they were getting. A couple ways you can go about doing that. One, you can filter this list by clicking on job title, and it'll sort my list A to Z. What I would recommend first, though, before just sorting it as being random A to Z, was you could also type in items in this search. So let's say CEOs was one of the focuses. I can search that, and I can have all the CEOs I'm connected with show up on this list. Or same with COOs, or if I wanted to do owner/business partner, whatever it might be, anything that is in these fields here, I can search within this. If it's something else on their profile, it's not searchable within here. It's based on the information that we can export from LinkedIn: first name, last name, email, company, job title. So if I wanted to add all these CEOs, I could then go in, click Edit Tags, click them into the CEOs campaign, close, go on to the next person, so on and so forth. And I could go about my tagging that way. The second route would be to go into the tag section like we've talked about. Now, if I'm doing something like you see down below here with the tag name being a marketing or advertising professional, if I'm segmenting by industry in any way, the other way I can go about tagging, I could do this whether it's for industry or if it's just a way you like viewing it, is I could do a couple things. I could, one, create a list of the people that are good fits for me by using the LinkedIn Advanced People search, or if I had just a regular old Excel sheet with a list of the names that I wanted to add to a campaign. The reason we have to use the Advanced People search if we're targeting by industry per se is because that information is not exported from LinkedIn. And the only way we can get that is within the search here. So, I'm under the Advanced People search. And what I would want to do in this situation is click on First Three Connections. If there's any other information you need for these prospects, whether it's geography or, job title, then you'd go ahead and fill that information out. For this specific example, we're just saying marketing and advertising pros. I'd hit search within my first three connections, which is important. I don't want to be getting results for everyone that might be on LinkedIn. And you see here that I have first three connections and my industry is marketing and advertising. I can then go through and I can go through this list, and whether it's you open up this screen and next to the tags page, and if I had this edit connections tab open, I might just have a list of these people, get 10 at a time, check them, move on to the next page, add the next 10, so on and so forth, to add all the people that it is that you want to have messaged in your campaign. Now, the big thing to keep in mind here, again, is, as I hope you've seen in the software handbook, is when you're just starting out a LinkedIn campaign, a LinkedIn messaging campaign. Let's say you've only been messaging a couple people per month, or you've done no messaging on LinkedIn, whatever it might be. You don't want to immediately say, okay, let me add 600 people to a campaign and message them all day one. That can kind of look a little suspicious to LinkedIn, because they're saying, wow, this person never was sending messages, and then all of a sudden in one day 600 messages went out. What's going on here? And you don't want to go about that way. You want to start gradually increasing. So if you haven't done much messaging in the past, or if it's been kind of small, what we recommend is starting with 100 messages going out per day, and then gradually adding to that and increasing it to, you can get to a point typically of 400 or 500 per day. But again, that's if you're gradually increasing it and not just having a big spike all of a sudden. So with that in mind, one of the big things to do is, let's say you had, like in this search here where I was in Josh's profile, I had almost 3,000 results from this one industry. Now, I don't want to add all 3,000. If all 3,000 are a good fit, then great, but I don't want to add them all to one tag, because I'm going to be breaking it up by day. I want to kind of split it up so that each tag is going to be for a campaign. So that's important to keep in mind, just again to make sure that you're not all of a sudden having a huge spike. So whether it's you have marketing, advertising professionals, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, having some way where you can look at the amount of people and keep it at a manageable point of view. Otherwise, you'd have to go in and after 100 have been sent out, stop it, and then restart the next day. And my recommendation is to have them tagged in separate groups. You can always, in a campaign down the line, you can add multiple tags to one campaign once you start gradually building that up, so that you're taking marketing groups 1 and 2 and they're in the same campaign, and so on and so forth. But just keep that in mind when you're going through this tagging process. You need some way to have a list, go through here, click and add the people that you want for this specific campaign. And again, keeping it, especially at the start, if you don't have a big history, starting with 100 per day and then going up from there and gradually increasing that number. So that's the way you can really go about it. Usually the 2 items we see people, well, I guess we'd say 3. The main 2 would be sorting by job title and segmenting their audience that way. The second way being something like industry. We also sometimes will have users or clients internally that are going by geography. Maybe they have a couple different geographic segments based on the materials they'll give them. In that case, you'd have to do a similar process if you'd have to use the LinkedIn Advanced Search to enter in the geography that you want to target for a specific campaign, for a specific tag segment. And that's really the way to go about it. Again, at the start, there can be some upfront work to get these people tagged appropriately, but once they're tagged and they're starting to get messages, that's the one time you have to do it. From then on out, it's smooth sailing from there. Okay, so what are the big takeaways from why we included this section here in the training? So, first thing, you want to segment your different buyer personas with the differentiating tag within the software. This is going to help you in a couple ways. First of all, with the management of it. But second of all, you want to get that right message to the right person at the right time, like we've been talking about throughout the training. All right, 2 places that you can tag connections went over. 1 is the connections tab. 2 is the tags tab. The tags tab will let you move a bit quicker and kind of bulk add people, while the connections tab is more, individual one-to-one to work through there. If tagging by industry or geography, you're going to need to utilize LinkedIn's advanced people search. Some people find it easier to have those 2 different lists. One list that's, here's the name of the people, let me go to the tags tab, and then just bulk click people to add them into the appropriate tag for them. Again, you need to use the LinkedIn's advanced search in some way if you're tagging and sorting by industry geography, because that information is not exported from LinkedIn. It's only searchable within their platform. All right, if tagging by title or job title or company name, you can find that information in your software site under that connections tab. And that way, if if you wanted to sort or search by just CEOs and start adding the text to them, you could certainly do that. Or, again, you could use LinkedIn search to do that as well if you'd rather. And then the big thing is starting slow and gradually building up your routine. If you have a lot of connections, schedule it for Monday through Friday to blast those out. This is something that up front, it's going to take you some time to get. If you have 17,000 connections, and a lot of them are good fits. Again, we're looking for only the good fits. You don't need to tag people who aren't going to be people that you want to message. But if you have a large amount of connections, starting slow, gradually building up the routine of the messages going out. I know some people have given this task to interns or VAs to start the tagging process, because again, once they're tagged that once, that's pretty much it. The only reason that you need to really be changing is A, if you tag someone you shouldn't have, or B, if you in your messaging campaign someone comes back and either becomes an appointment, if they become a proposal, they become a lead, whatever it might be, that you say, like, okay, I don't want them to receive these type of marketing materials anymore, so I'm going to remove them from this sequence. But other than that, again, it's really that upfront time, the first tag, and then from there it's just going in, set up the campaigns and running the messages, which is what we'll be talking about in our next lesson.